people of Earth. We come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of central Iowa, welcome to Max World Live. Max World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Max World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Max World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. 7 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 17th day of March. And that, of course, is known as St. Patrick's Day. And for those of you who are on Facebook with me, check out my post on St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day has nothing to do with green beer, snakes, or leprechauns. If you really want to know what St. Patrick was all about, it's about a 4-minute video, and I think you'll find it inspiring. But for those people who are heading out with something green on and drinking green beer and making this another excuse to overindulge in alcoholic beverages, trust me, you have nothing to do with St. Patrick. But it's okay. You need an excuse to drink. Go ahead. Listening to this show for the next 2 hours will give you another excuse to drink if you're a drinker, because this is going to topple your mind. Later on this hour and into the 4 o'clock hour, I've got a whole bunch of people in here, but my main primary people, I have a gentleman by the name of James, and James's view on Christianity and spiritual matters are fair to say not of a biblical view?
Somewhat
of a biblical view. Okay. And then, of course, we have our friend Chris John back, who is the former president of the Free Thinkers and Atheists Club up at Iowa State, who did an amazing thing 1 month ago today. He actually defended Christianity on my show page or on my Facebook page as James and he got into an interesting debate. And if you've been my friend on Facebook long enough, then you know that if two people can debate a healthy debate and it doesn't go into name calling, and I sometimes there are words used that sometimes people feel they're being name called, but I'm talking, Bradshaw level name calling. You're an idiot and you're this and that. And if it doesn't go to that, many times I see that as a very good conversation to be had on the radio. And so we will go back and we will give you some ideas on exactly what happened 1 month ago today that brought us to where we are all together here. All right, I have Chris Roloff from KTIA. Frank is here. What did we just do with all the microphones? What happened?
It was crazy. It was absolutely nuts.
Where's Bob's mic?
It's right here. We had a mic stand failed us, and so we had to change mic stands out.
All right. Well, see, this is why I said do this before the show starts. But no, Frank didn't want to. I got it all handled here.
I don't know that. Did you know it was broken before the show started?
No.
Okay. What can a feller do? What can a feller do?
You want me to answer that or just move on?
Move on.
Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. He's also watching the service legend Truth text line at 515-809-0993, and that is exactly what it says it is. It's free. We do not track your incoming caller ID, as I have said many times here, and you guys can witness it. Here's the phone. There's no caller ID on there. I don't want that. I want people to be able to call in, text in, and say what's on their mind. As long as they're not being slanderous or somebody else, then your opinion's always welcome. It's your voice I want to hear, and one of the ways you can do that is on the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. Also, if you want to participate with your voice, you may do so at 515-244 0077. That's the number you can call in, and Ryan will answer the phone, and he'll get you on the air. And you can always jump on yet another way to reach us. You can go on webcast1live.com. Whew. And you can jump on the chat. Now, if you want a central hub, go to 993thetruth.com. And there you'll find me. There you'll find the radio station. There you'll be able to watch the chat. You'll be able to listen to the station with all the different opportunities and alleyways there are out there to get this radio show. Quite frankly, I don't know. What are we missing? I mean, we're live on TV. We're live on the internet. We're audio on terrestrial radio. Anyway, we do what we can to make sure this gets to you. All right.
Why do you do all that, Max? So people what? So people can participate, right? This isn't just sit back and listen, right?
Yeah. Well, you've got geeks out there who want to have the latest technology in front of them, such as the text or the chat or the video or the live cameras, and then you've got old guys like me that can barely tune it off of AM to FM. And so I want a vast number of people to be able to hear the gospel and to participate in the radio show. Because as I've said before, and I think you know this, this isn't my show. This is Mac's world. It's not Mac's show. The superstars of this show today are going to be Chris, John, and James. And then Chris and Frank and Bob are here to add commentary. And I'm just here to police the intersection. So, all right, Robert, any text yet from the service legend line?
Not yet.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing from that. All right, let's cut into a couple of news stories here. If this wasn't so tragic, it would be hilarious. An Iowa State University student fell out of a third-story window while she was sleeping early this morning. Iowa State University police responded to a medical assist at Friedrichsen Court Apartments, just north of campus, about 3 a.m. Someone called police after hearing the woman call for help outside the building. Police Lieutenant Elliot Fuller told the news department that the woman was conscious and alert when paramedics arrived, but her injuries required medical attention. She was transported to Mary Greeley Hospital, where she is in good condition. You're just fresh off the beat up there.
I'm wondering how you fall out of a window while... I've done a lot of things while sleeping. I've never managed to fall out of a window.
Yeah. Do you think that's just a...
That sounds questionable. I'd say with the amount of spring break partying going on at Frederickson Court, there's likely probably another culprit to the going out the window. I doubt it was sleeping.
Out of the window,
Yeah.
maybe. Probably not a suicide attempt.
Probably not.
And
but-
was that window at Ames City Height Code?
Yeah, there you go. And was the...
Oh, great. Now the city's going to get sued.
Yeah, was the screen... well, if she's under 18, DHS can get involved.
Oh, my goodness.
My guess is she's not. If she's
Well, I'm glad to hear that she's okay.
Yeah, she's going to be
I mean,
okay.
that is not the way you want to wake up, though, man.
No.
No.
I can't...
Falling. I've had that dream. Nobody likes having that dream, right? That
Well,
you're falling.
come on. Admit, you've fallen out of a window before.
No, I've fallen out of bed. I have fallen out of bed before.
How do you fall out of bed?
Top
You don't.
bunk.
Yeah. Oh,
Top bunk.
Top bunk. There, James has got it. Top bunk. All right, another story. Boy, they're just coming out of the walls. If you thought the political season this year was crazy already, it's getting worse. You have got Patty Judge, who is a formidable foe against Charles Grassley, going up against him. You've got Charles Grassley, who's the head of the Judiciary Committee, who still stands by that this Senate and Congress will not be allowed to take a look at a new Supreme Court nominee, that it's up to the next president. And, of course, they're both wrong. They're both wrong. But that's what happens in politics. Now you have the a guy who has been challenged 7 terms, but has always won. U.S. Representative Steve King is being challenged by I'll use that term again, formidable foe. This in a Republican, but still in a primary in Iowa's 4th District. His name is State Senator Rick Bertrand, so he's put some dues in. You know, it's one thing to just pop out of the farmhouse one day and say, I'm mad at my congressman, so I'm going to run against him. It's another thing to be sitting in the Iowa House. He is a developer from northern Iowa. He was elected to the Iowa Senate in 2010, so he's got 5 years under his belt. He and his wife, Tammy, have 3 children. Rick Bertrand, B-E-R-T-R-A-N-D. Rick Bertrand says, I'm Rick Bertrand, I'm real, and I'm running. Bertrand said in announcing his candidacy, he added, I'm a viable and credible candidate and will pose the greatest challenge Mr. King has faced in 14 years. So, it's just beginning to heat up in those very popular races. And later on, depending on how our interviews go today, because we could be done in like 3 minutes. I don't know. Who knows? You know, Chris John says something that Frank thinks is crazy, and Frank pulls out his water pistol and shoots ink on Chris John, and then James over here is going, I'm going to be no part of this, and pulls out his ninja, and we're all laying on the ground, and Ryan's in there going, and then Ron comes running in and goes, hi, we're on 99.3 KTIA, and we've got some emergency problems. We'll be back.
Well, apparently you haven't heard some of Chris John and I's phone conversations over the weekend. They could get pretty heated.
Well, how would I know those? How would I know about...
Wait a minute. Hold on. Mac, do you not... you don't tap Frank's phone? I thought you monitored everything Frank did 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the way I thought your relationship went. Oh, I mean... Good one, Mac. Good one. You didn't know. He didn't know.
All right, we're taking a break here. When we come back, I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. I really do. I have a feeling this is going to be really good radio. And we'll find out, because you're the most important person in the room, and you're here on The Truth, 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
.321, 21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 17th day of March in the Lord's year 2016. You know, I just thought of something. I don't think I've been around this many guys on St. Patty's Day and nobody's drinking a beer. You know, you go back 6-7 years in my life. Well, quite frankly, 6-7 years ago in my life, I would have been saying goodnight.
Well, we could change that.
No. I don't think anybody in here drink. I think, no, you like to drink beer.
I do not drink.
No?
I don't drink.
You like to drink beer.
I should probably have my microphone in my face. I am okay with drinking beer occasionally. For a large German guy, I have a very low tolerance.
Yeah. Now,
so I'm a one beer guy.
Do you drink beer, James?
Well, seldom.
Seldom. So really, you're the only lush in the room, Chris.
I would not call a one beer guy is not a.
Well, if we're all no beer guys,
I don't have any alcohol in my house right now. If that's any consolation.
Okay, well, neither do I.
So there you go.
All right. Well, rubbing alcohol. Do you drink rubbing alcohol?
Didn't you say you had one bottle of something just to remind you of something?
Well, no, I shouldn't have said we don't have alcohol because my wife doesn't have an issue with drinking, and we entertain. So but
Sure.
You're thinking about Louis XIV. I have a bottle of Louis XIV, and if nobody's ever had, this is an inappropriate conversation for Christian radio.
Sure, we can move on.
I have a bottle. All right, so I want to go back and read to you a post that I put on. Jill King says, "Look like you're all crammed into a lifeboat."
Yes, that's what it feels like. I'd be happy to be on a lifeboat with these guys.
So on February 17th, 1 month ago today, and that's just by coinky-dink, I didn't plan it this way, I posted something on Facebook that says the following. When I say that I am a Christian, I'm not saying that I am clean living. I'm whispering I was lost, but now I'm found and forgiven. When I say I'm a Christian, I don't speak of this with pride. I'm confessing that I stumble and need Christ to be my guide. When I say I am a Christian, I'm not trying to be strong. I'm professing that I'm weak and need his strength to carry on. When I say I'm a Christian, I'm not bragging of success. I'm admitting I have failed and need God to clean up my mess. When I say I am a Christian, I'm not claiming to be perfect. My flaws are far too visible, but God believes that I am worth it. When I say I am a Christian, I still feel the sting of pain. I have my share of heartaches, so I call upon his name. And when I say I'm a Christian, I'm not holier than thou. I'm just a simple sinner who received God's good grace somehow. I didn't write that. Somebody else did, I'm sure. Somebody had to write it. But I just thought it was really nice, and so I put it on there. Well, somewhere in the midst of this, Christian, do you have it in front of you?
I do.
All right. Why don't you read where you and James come in and begin your conversation?
Sure. You tagged me in the post that day, which I appreciated. I thought it was a nice sentiment, and I appreciate that you continue to tag me and stuff like that, even though we disagree.
Well, and most of the time I don't mean it sarcastic. Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Just to be honest with you. Oh, you figured that out?
I have been to college long enough to know when somebody is being a little bit sarcastic with me, and I certainly know when you are. But
okay,
don't feel bad. I can dish it out as well as I can take it.
Is it a little bit like that deal on the Facebook menu called Poke? You're poking somebody.
Sure, let's go with that.
All right, so James came on about 3:40 in the afternoon. James, by the way, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for being here. I hope you feel comfortable.
I do.
Good. I mean, because you're my guest.
Thank you.
And you're the worst thing that'll happen here is Frank will get upset with you and say something
that's
horrible,
okay.
And then I'll have to write a note and say I'm sorry and buy off. I don't know what I'll have to do. But anyway, you said Good luck on that profound prose, being that Christians don't exist, only Christ sympathizers. That would explain why you're unchanged. I came back and then said, wow, can I just call you Saul? James came back and said, sure can, but instead of killing Christians, I would give you all lobotomies. Now, understand at this point, I like James. James and I have had a couple interactions, and he's not calling me bad names. He's not going to the lowest denominator. He's actually having a conversation that I appreciate from someone who believes different than I do. After he says he'd like to give all Christians lobotomies, Christian, you come in and say, what an absolutely awful thing to say. Is this a joke, and am I missing some background context? Then James says, you would have to read Mac McCoy's prose photo to figure it out, saying he's a Christian, but he cusses, etc., etc. Not a joke on my part. That's how I truly feel about organized religions, Christians and Muslims included. Rusty Green, a good friend of mine, says, James, Jesus loves you. That sounds like something one of my boys would say. And then James comes back and says, blah, 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 blah.
Wait, is that the actual post on Facebook?
Well, it's blah, 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 blah. Actually, there's one more blah. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 6 blahs.
Ah, well, good.
Blah, 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 blah. 7
would have been too much. 5 wouldn't have been enough. 6 is the perfect number of blahs.
So, in interest of disclosure, what do you self-identify yourself as, James? Gnostic, agnostic, atheist, infidel? What do you describe yourself as so we know what we're dealing with?
Well, what I am not an atheist, and I'm not a Muslim. I am a spiritualist.
So you are a spiritualist?
Yes, and an avatar.
What?
An avatar. Somebody that communicates with angels, somebody communicates with the supreme God himself. I have no middleman.
All right, so you're a spiritualist.
Right.
You are an avatar.
Right.
And what you mean by that is you communicate with who?
Angels.
Angels.
And the supreme one God.
And the supreme one God.
Yes. There is no middleman.
Meaning Jesus.
Right.
Okay.
It's not that I don't believe in Jesus. I do believe that there was a Jesus. But I believe Jesus was a teacher and a prophet.
Okay.
No more.
No more. Is there a Holy Spirit? Is there a two Trinity? Three? I guess it wouldn't be a two Trinity. Is there a duo? Is there a Trinity?
There's a Spirit of God which remained on the earth long before Jesus Christ came into the picture. He was basically the ones who was communicating with Noah and Moses.
Okay, that would have been the Holy Spirit?
Or
a God's Spirit.
Right.
All right.
The power of God. God's Spirit.
All right. I want to get your lingo down. God's Spirit. All right. Now, so can you communicate with... Now, you've picked all good sources. Angels, God, and God's Spirit. Can you also communicate with demons? Lucifer, Satan, the accuser?
I try to stay away from that,
Okay.
but I have in my lifetime, I have seen what I considered to be Satan.
Okay. What's he look like?
The one that I saw, he appeared to me as he was coming out of a... See, I see visions. I can see things before they happen, and I can tell you a little bit about that.
Are you clairvoyant?
Somewhat, but mostly I see visions and I dream dreams. And when I saw what I thought was Satan, he was coming out of like a celestial prison gate. He was looking... I think it was maybe towards the south to see where I was at, and then he turned around and looked directly at me. He had long hair, goatee, mustache, and beard.
So far, it sounds like you, Roloff.
I cut my hair. I got a haircut.
Okay, go ahead.
He was wearing a long sleeve, like red shirt, black pants, and black, like biker boots up to his knees. And he was mouthing words to me. I couldn't understand what they were, but he was very upset with me for some reason.
Okay.
Some way I had opened up a door to a celestial realm of some sort that he did not think that I should have power over, and he was very angry with me.
Do you remember what you were doing just prior to this that maybe would have caused that to happen?
Yes, I do. I'd probably rather not say here on the air.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you for respecting my audience. All right, so did you get your question answered?
Well, and I don't ask this in a malicious way, but I find a lot of times that drug use will be a channel in which demonic spirits will use to communicate with individuals to kind of soften the blow of what of this celestial world that is unseen. Have you experienced that in your life?
No, I'm not a big drug user. I have experimented with marijuana. I personally don't consider that a drug. I consider it a plant that was given a bad rap. But as far as this certain circumstance, no, I was not under the influence of anything at the time. I could tell you a little bit about my background, how I, as a child, how I was raised in the church when I was a child, which may have led on to some of this, if you're willing to listen.
What's your Christian background?
Okay. My mother, she went to a spiritualist church. I can't say the name because I don't want to give bad light onto the church. But when I was 3 years old, my mother would drag me to the spiritualistic church. And then she would take me to these, what they called Holy Ghost rallies. And in the Holy Ghost rallies, you would see people writhing around on the ground, shaking uncontrollably as if they were demon-possessed. Okay, some of it had to do with, they said it was the Spirit of God coming into these people, and some of the people were demon-possessed. So I was raised around this, and then when I got to become much older, or a little bit older, I started going to camps, church camps, every year. I would go to this church camp, and when I was 9 years old, the evangelist, the children's evangelist, said to everybody after he was done speaking a sermon, "Anybody want the power of God?" So I raised my hand. "Yes, I want the power of God." So he goes, "Okay, young man." So he comes down to me and he says, "Ask for it. Ask God for the power of God," and and all this. So here I am. Please give me this. And he touches my forehead, and I don't know if anybody ever stuck their finger in a light socket. That's what it felt like. It felt like a bolt of lightning ran through my skull into my body, and I started, speaking in a foreign tongue. And after that happened, things started happening to me when I went home. Like I started dreaming dreams, like seeing like astral projection, leaving my body and going to celestial worlds. I would.
Do you practice magic?
Do I? Not so much, but I do on occasion. Do
you consider it white magic?
I try never to cross the line into anything dark. I may have, when I was in my 20s, may have dabbled a little bit. If somebody would anger me, I'd get a little bit of revenge, and then I would hear about it in the paper.
All right, we're going to take our first break here. James is our guest. You've been hearing him kind of give you his resume, give you where he's coming from spiritually. Chris John, I'll give you an opportunity to do that next, and we'll continue down this path of what started out to be a thread on Facebook and is turning now into at least one radio program. Thanks for listening. We're live on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour, 3:38 on the 17th day of March. Kind of a cool day here in Des Moines. Not cool as in weather, but cool as in cool. I love corned beef and cabbage. It really is one of my favorite things. And I can't make it in my house because my wife does not like the smell of cooked cabbage. So whenever St. Patrick's Day comes around, I'll bet I'll eat at Hy-Vee probably 5 or 6 times in 2 days and have corned beef and cabbage. And today I was in the Market Grill at Hy-Vee, and of course they had all the basketball games on, which is something equally I don't understand much about. But the place was packed and people were having fun, and it's March Madness in Iowa.
And in the interest of disclosure, 1979, my daughter Jessica was born on St. Patrick's Day. My wife went into labor, was in labor for 23 hours, 8 hours of hard labor. And everybody thought, oh, she's going to be born on St. Patrick's Day. Well, it was getting pretty close, 11:31, 29 minutes before midnight. She would have been born on March 18th, but she made it in as a St. Patrick's Day baby.
Well, congratulations, Dad. And now, how old is she?
37.
37. Okay, that's what I meant to say, 37. All right, interesting guest panel today. You just heard James speak. James is a spiritualist. He's also an avatar who communicates with angels, the supreme one God, and God's spirit. He also is... now, Frank asked you this. Would you say you're a clairvoyant? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Clairvoyant as in being able to read, see the dead or hear the dead?
Sure. I mean, you said you ran into, you saw Satan. He's dead, so we know you can see the dead.
Well, actually, he's very much alive. And I think we all know that with the world, with the way that it is.
Well, he's alive, but yeah.
Right.
He's dead.
I cannot see dead people as far as a medium who can read or who can tell somebody that their Uncle Jay left him a fortune or something. No, I have not been able to do that as well. But there was one circumstance when I was 14 years of age. I was in a behavioral disability class. We had a tutor, or we had a substitute teacher, and she had just recently got married and never told anybody anything about this in class. And I was reading her like a book. And the class was about over, and she said, okay, class. And I said, you just recently got married. Your husband's name is Stephen Allen, the last name. And she goes, how did you know that? And I said, you're thinking about him right now, and I am picking up on that. And goodbye. The bell just rung. I ran out the door.
That was it.
That was it.
Now, Jill King on Facebook says, what does James use for a Bible, or does he?
I
mean, you say you believe that Jesus was a prophet and a great teacher, so the only place Jesus is talked about for the most part is in what we would call the Bible.
Right.
So, have you read the Bible?
Yes. When I was a child, like I said, I had a mother who was very religious, and she would read me the Bible every year for like about 4 years straight. And then when I got older, I read the Bible through a few times. What do I think of the Bible? I personally don't think that God needs a word. I feel that if God wants to tell you something, he will imprint it on your mind, like he did Noah and Moses back in the day. The Bible was written and comprised by a king who kept his kingdom enslaved.
Who's the king?
We're talking about King James. The reason why I say this is because back in the monarchy days, these people would arise and say, I'm your king, God gave me dominion and power over you, and the people would be like, prove it. You're keeping us in bondage, prove it. So King James, being the man that he was also a writer. He wrote 3 books before the Bible was comprised, and then he went to his scholars and such who had pieces of manuscripts, and he had them sit down. I think it was the canon era where he had them say which was going to be in the Bible and which wasn't going to be in the Bible, which added up, which didn't add up. And he came to his people, here it is. Here's your proof. I am your king.
So before King James, there was no Bible?
Matt,
there was bits and pieces.
Can I just interject, just for a point of factualness? That's just not true. So factually, that's not true. The Geneva Bible existed as a compilation of the same text that the King James translation of the Bible existed beforehand. All the books of the Bible that are in the Geneva Bible existed before that. So the King James is a printing of the Bible. It's a particular translation of the Bible that happened at a particular time under his reign. But it is definitely not where the Bible, the 66 books that we have in front of us today, came from. It's not how they first came together. None of that's accurate. No offense, James, that's just not historically accurate.
Well, I've done a little research on myself, and I found out that the manuscripts that these people were carrying around were not actually comprised of any type of book at that time, Geneva or whatever you want to call it. It was just loose manuscripts that were circulating the kingdom, in which he took it upon himself to comprise.
Okay.
You actually when was Constantine? When did Constantine do his work, Chris John? Do you remember when that was?
Yeah.
That would have been, that's 300, isn't it?
Yep, that was around the year 300. It was the Council of Nicaea was 325.
325 was the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah.
So by 325, we had the canonical books of the Bible determined at that time at the Council of Nicaea is when they decided which books were going to be the final 66. There were a couple of extras that they decided were not canonical books or Holy Writ, but that was in 300. That was a long time before King James. So
when was King James? You want
King
me to Google him?
James,
Or do
you can Google it. It was 16. I was going to say 1610. So okay, I was close. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, I agree. One of the interesting things about being on the show today is I've been on so many times, and I've switched teams for this appearance.
1604 to 1611 was when King James was in rule.
Alrighty, so there you go. At least the New Testament, as we know it, the first time we have that canon came out of, and you can fact check me on this because I'm pulling this off the top of my head here, but it was out of Alexandria. I believe it was Athanasius in the year 377 was the New Testament as we know it today, those books of the Bible. So King James put together a version of the Bible which survives today, and it's arguably the most beautifully written as far as the literature goes. But that's not the beginning of the Bible.
We have a friendly, good debate going on today. James is here. He's a spiritualist. He's an avatar. These are the things he says. If I say anything that you don't agree with, you jump in. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Can speak to angels. Believes in the one supreme God. Is that the same God I believe in? I believe in the God of the Bible.
There's only one God.
Okay.
And there's many facets of God.
Okay. And then God's Spirit, you and I call that the Holy Spirit. You just call it God's Spirit. Chris John is here, and this is a very unlikely place for you to be.
I agree.
Chris John is the former president of the Iowa State Freethinkers and Atheists. Very well educated, scary educated, in my opinion. But you kind of came to kind of defend my post, which said what I felt like I was as a Christian. And one of the ones, which I thought was funny that James brought this up, one of my favorite deals is I love Jesus. No, what is it?
I love Jesus, but I cuss a little.
But I cuss a little, yeah. And cussing, of course, would never include blasphemy. It would include words that society at this point in our forward movement has deemed as a vulgar word. If I say feces, that's not a bad word, but if I say if I say the one that starts with S, then that's considered vulgar. So I don't mean blasphemy. All right, we've got the music going. That means we're going to take a break. We're going to do this all the way till 5 o'clock. Your voice is what we want to hear at 244-0077 live here in Max World. Thanks for listening.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 10 minutes before the top of the hour Salem Radio Network news. And then after that, we're back live with another exciting hour here in Max World. A couple ways you can reach us. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat, and the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. Also, the phone lines are currently open at 515-244-0077, and that's what you can do to call us. Any texts you want to share with us right now, Robert?
There's one speaking about, I think you better check It's 2 Timothy 3:16. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
2 Timothy.
That's the all scripture is God breathed.
2 Timothy 3:16. Okay.
Yeah. That's the proof text for that all of the Bible is God's word.
All right, Chris John, James has had us an opportunity to kind of tell us where he's coming from. I want you to tell us where you're coming from. If you're just tuning in, this is a great show. I love these shows because it started on Facebook, and I figured I had people who could talk adult to each other, and so we've brought this. This is a month ago today, February 17th. So we've brought this show on the air, and we're talking about, I put up a post that says, here's what I am as a Christian. I'm not perfect. I'm forgiven. I'm this. And James took one of the funniest lines I've ever heard. You said if you had a chance, you'd give us all lobotomies. I don't think I've ever seen the word lobotomy spelled out, so I enjoyed that. And then Chris John jumped in, and Chris John, I'll give you the mic.
Well, thanks for having me back on the show. I appreciate it. It is interesting, kind of the path that's brought us to today's show. I think one thing that I've always tried to do, and I've told you guys my background before, so I don't want to bore your listeners. A part of my background is that I come from a very Christian family with several consecutive generations of ministers, and now as an atheist, and in my capacity when I was leading the Iowa State Atheist and Agnostic Society, one of the things that I put a premium on was civility.
Yes, you did, and you live that.
These are very contentious topics, no matter what. Even among believers or among fellow disbelievers, no matter who you are, when people disagree about these things, they are very contentious topics, and it takes, because of that, you have to take a great deal of care in order to have productive, meaningful conversations with people who you might disagree with. What brought me to your defense, Mac, what brought me in to defend you in this particular Facebook page a month ago was that I was upset by the tone that James took right off the bat. I didn't see it as productive. I didn't see it as conducive to actually engaging in meaningful conversation. And frankly, I thought one of the reasons that I jumped in was because it resembled to me rhetoric that I've heard far too often from angry, jaded atheists. So I thought that he might be an atheist who was taking an opportunity to go on social media and go after a Christian. I don't like seeing that. I don't like when I see my fellow atheists do that. So I wanted to jump in to see if I could redirect the conversation a little bit. I think that to a certain degree I might have been successful, but it also didn't end on a note that I thought was civil either. So I was interested to see where this was going to go when we were in here today.
Now, I kind of feel like I kind of put a stop to the conversation. Do you not feel that? Because I invited you guys on the radio together, and
Right.
to me that was the place to take this conversation.
Yeah, and earlier in the conversation, James had said that he wasn't going to talk anymore unless he had a microphone. So I think that there was.
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah.
Did he?
He said at some point that he wasn't going to talk anymore unless he had an audience, which concerned me, and I think that was kind of the build-up to the ending of the conversation, because at that point I was concerned that he was just looking for a platform. Everybody is entitled to their own beliefs. Everybody's entitled to believe what they want. You guys, despite you thinking that you may have been rude to me, and I've certainly probably been snarky to you guys in the past, Frank over here, me and him snarked back and forth with each other on a weekly basis. But I've always felt respected, and when I feel that respect waning in a conversation, it bothers me. So the conversation was coming to a conclusion already, I think, before you interjected and said, let's get this on the radio.
Chris.
I just want to make one point of clarification for our audience. I think the beginning of the conversation on Facebook started over primarily the claim that James made that Christianity doesn't exist. Am I quoting you right, James, if I remember correctly just from looking here? But that Christians don't exist, Christ sympathizers exist.
Right.
So I just as a brief point of clarification, since that essentially is the debate, I guess, does Christianity exist? Or please define, James, for everybody what a Christ sympathizer is and how, in as brief as possible, that differs from what someone else would call Christianity or a Christian. I know that's hard to do, but
well, Frank, to me, someone who considers themselves a born again Christian is somebody who is totally changed in outward and inward appearance, that they allow Christ to come in their heart and change them. No more cussing, no more doing this, no more doing that. They are the embodiment of Christ. And I don't see that too much in the world. I see people who claim to be a Christian, and they are some of the, I guess, like Christian said here, snarkiest people, some of the angriest people, want to grab a gun and kill somebody. I mean, I think that if you consider yourself a Christian, that you ought to embody the Spirit of Christ and be loving. It's not so much as giving your life to Christ. Here's what I believe. Christians need to focus less on being saved from their imaginary sin and concentrate more on the message of Jesus Christ, who taught to love your enemies.
All right, Frank, you've been having your hand up here. We're coming up on a hard break.
Well, just quickly, do you believe in justification and sanctification? Because sanctification is really the process you're talking about. It's a journey, not a destination. It won't be complete until Christ comes. So no Christian is at any point in their life perfect.
I don't believe that you should be perfect because you're a human first. But at the same time, don't, like Jesus talked about vipers, don't say one thing and do another. I see that in the Christians a lot.
All right. We're going to take a break. Your thoughts on this are very welcome. You can text them to the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. You can call in at 515-244-0077. You can also jump on our telecast at Webcast One Live and join the chat. There is one central hub that has been created for you to communicate with not only this show, but the radio station, and that is 993thetruth.com. That is a page that I share with the radio station, and so you'll get information about us, this show, and the overall radio station, including contact information and a way to watch the video and the chat. We're coming back. We're live on a radio station we call The Truth, because it is, at 99.3 FM.